age is nothing but a number, and I know I'm still learning a ton. Like, I learn stuff every single day. But when people think that they can't do something just because they're young and maybe not quite as experienced as they want to be, the only way you can get experience is by doing things, right? So it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. Like, if you want to do something, you just need to do it. You just need to take the steps and actually do it.
Welcome to the Passion Behind the Art Show. It's all about diving in with individuals to learn the story behind their passion. It's your host, Darold.
What's up? Guess what? It's another week, another amazing guest, and another opportunity for me to bring you value through someone else's story. But before we jump into this week's episode, I just want to let you know that our Patreon page is up and running, finally. And if you're not familiar with Patreon, it's basically a way to support a specific endeavor that you're interested in. And of course, the endeavor that we're talking about right now is Passion Behind the Art, the podcast. So I would really appreciate it if you would support the podcast through our Patreon page. All you need to do is just go to passionbehindart.com and look for the Patreon tab, and it will take you directly to the page. This would mean the world to me and everything that I'm doing in regards to the podcast. A large percentage of what I do in regards to the podcast, as a matter of fact, all of it is free. And I would really appreciate you if you could just help support the podcast with as low as $2. Nothing too crazy. $2. And of course, there's various tiers you can support with more, and the more you support, the more incentives you get. So just go to passionbehindart.com and check out our Patreon page. This would help me out a lot. There will also be a link in the show notes. So without further ado, let's jump into this week's episode. Well, I am beyond excited to have Hayley Barry on the Passion Behind the Art Show, coming to us from Utah. Sweet. Hayley, welcome.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be doing this.
Yes, awesome. So let's jump right into it. How did your story start?
Oh my gosh, I was born. No, so it's interesting. So I've actually been doing art my whole life, which I'm still pretty young. I'm only 22, so my whole life hasn't been that long. But I've always been doing it. And I guess where the whole lettering thing started, I had always been drawing. I kind of always figured I was going to be an illustrator. So I had studied all about illustration and the way that illustration is done. And the reason that appealed to me is because I didn't ever like the whole idea of just creating art for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, you see those people that are like, oh, I just want to create, like, for my soul. And I was I was never like that. Like, I always saw creation as, like, a really good challenge. And I always saw it kind of as, like, a process and a challenge. And so I liked the idea of illustration because I liked the thought of having someone approach you with a problem and then trying to solve that problem in a visual way to express something that a person can't normally express. And so right from the get-go, I knew I wanted to do something in the vein of illustration. And then when I was about 16 years old, I got a job working in an antique store downtown in Provo.
Wow.
It was awesome. It was the coolest job. But one day my boss was like, Hayley, can you make a sign for that couch? This is 25% off. And I was like, yeah.
Sure.
So I drew it all out, and, like, I made the letters, like, block letters with the shadow, and it looked kind of antique because it's an antique store. And my boss comes over, and he goes, dude, because he called everyone dude. He was like, I didn't know you did hand lettering. And in my mind, I was like, well, duh. Like, if you can draw people, or, like, of course you can draw letters. Like, to me, it was like
a no-brainer.
Yeah, like, if you can do that stuff, you can draw letters. And so it wasn't until then that I realized that not everyone could just draw the alphabet. Like, I just thought that's something people could do. And anyway, I started making more signs for around the store, and people started coming into the antique store and actually wanting to buy the signs that would say 25% off, which was so weird. And so I started painting things for clients. So clients would bring in a piece of wood or something, and I would paint them a sign and whatever. And so that's kind of how it all started. That's how I got into hand lettering, as aside from just illustration.
That
and I've
is
been ever
so
since.
cool.
Yeah, it was super awesome.
Wow, that is very unique. That is very. So were you like making the signs at the store, or was that like at your own house or whatever?
Yeah, I was pretty much making them at the store. It was a dream job because I would just post up right there in the store with my sign and everything, and I'd be painting, and people would come in and look at it. And then when we were on break, me and my boss would play bluegrass music.
Wow, that this I don't know who your boss is, but he sounds amazing.
Gus Evans, he is the coolest person ever.
He sounds amazing because he was like at the same time he hired you to do a job, but also like fueling this passion, helping you to fuel this passion. Because so typically someone say, "No, you can't do this here. This is our place of work. Not this is your own thing. You can't do that." So the whole idea of him just being able to like give you that freedom to do that, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he thought it was really important. And then, so after that job, that ended up ending, and I worked at a Mexican restaurant, which was super random. And I did a few random jobs, and I just didn't love it. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been a hard worker. I've always loved to work, but I wanted to do something creative. And I remember one day just realizing, and I was only 18, like I had just graduated high school, but I remember being there and being like, you know what? If I want to work in the art, I'm going to have to make this happen. And so I just started emailing people, like anyone I could think of, any business that I thought could use some art. And I started sending out emails. And I remember talking to this lady one time. Her name was Melissa Esplin. She was a calligrapher. And I knew that she lived about 20 or 30 minutes away from me. And she'd given this presentation, and I had talked to her for just a second after the presentation. That was like a year ago. But I tracked down her email, and I sent her an email, and it just said, "Hey, Melissa, I'm a big fan of your work. Have you ever thought about hiring a personal assistant?" And I got an email back, and she was like, "Yeah, I'd love a personal assistant." And so I got the job working with her, and I learned a ton about freelancing there. And people were always asking me, like, "Oh my gosh, how in the world did you land a job with Melissa Esplin? She's amazing." And I was like, I just asked her for it. I just picked the job up, and she went for it.
That is awesome. The power of asking. I tell people this all the time. Like they'll ask me like, how do you get into these places? How you get these people on the podcast? Guess what, guys? Ask.
And then I started getting my own client projects little by little, and it was really cool because once I had about 2 or 3 actual jobs under my belt, then people just started coming to me, and it turned into a thing. And now when I'm 22, that is my full-time job.
Sweet.
Is running a business, doing freelance, hand lettering, and sign painting and stuff.
That's awesome. More power to you. And so I noticed that you just posted that you're doing a workshop.
Yeah.
Is this like your first one?
No, actually. So I taught my first workshop about a year ago just because I had a lot of people asking me to teach. And so I just taught one, and it went really good. So I think in the last year I've done 3 of them. But then I also got offered a job to teach at Utah Valley University, which is the university in my area. And the lady that reached out to me about it, it was so funny because I got an email. She was like, "Hey, we need like someone to teach adjunct. We need someone to teach this class. Someone recommended me to you. I think you'd be really great. Can you come in for an interview?" I was like, "Oh yeah." And I showed up, and she was kind of like, "Who are you?" I was like, "I'm the girl that you want to teach." She's like, "How old even are you?" "You're like 12. And anyway, but I got the job, and so I actually teach at UVU as well in the spring. I mean, not the spring, the summer and the winter. And I think the last 2 semesters that I've taught, I have been the youngest person in the class, but I'm teaching the class.
Look at you. Look at you over here dominating. That is awesome. That is so cool.
Age is nothing but a number, and I know I'm still learning a ton. Like, I learn stuff every single day. But when people think that they can't do something just because they're young and maybe not quite as experienced as they want to be, the only way you can get experience is by doing things, right?
True.
So it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. Like, if you want to do something, you just need to do it. You just need to take the steps and actually do it, you know?
You know what? This is so crazy. The last episode I just had, it was more this guy, that super amazing illustrator. Like, he started so late. Like, he did, like, he had a family, did the whole 9, and he's like almost 50 now, and he's dominating. But he was like, he started so late. And look at you, like, it just shows us that, like, it don't matter where you are in the journey. Like, guys, you could just do something. It doesn't matter where you are in the journey. I love this.
Yeah, it's so true. You hit it right on the head.
This is awesome. This is awesome. So let's get a little bit. Let's talk a little about how you generate revenue. So
yeah,
you teach as an adjunct at a university. You have freelance clients. What else? Anything else we're missing?
Right now, the freelance is probably the biggest thing. Teaching, let's be real here, teaching does not pay. Like, I actually make way more teaching like a 2-hour workshop than I do, 10 hours of teaching or whatever. But yeah, freelance is the big thing right now. So I've actually been making most of my money by painting murals, large scale murals for businesses.
Sweet. So how are you getting like the mural projects? Is this like word of mouth now? Or are you doing some kind of outreach?
So I decided, it was last year in February, I decided I wanted to paint a mural. I had never done one, but I wanted to do one. And so I put a post on Instagram that said, win a wall. And the whole concept was, I will paint a mural for your business for free, but you have to apply and I'm going to pick the best one. And the reason I did that is because I do not believe in doing work for free. Like, I don't like to do it.
Right.
And so, yeah, And so I'm going to do this for free because I don't know what I'm doing, right? So I really shouldn't be paying too much because I have no idea what I'm doing. But if I'm going to do this, I want to do it for a company that is going to be able to, a place that lots of people are going to go, like a place that's going to get high traction, high visibility, and a place that they're going to kind of let me do my own style. And so I did that, and I had like 10 businesses reach out to me wanting to do it. I was able to pick the one I wanted to do and go paint it, and just took a ton of pictures. And as soon as I shared that, I just started getting phone calls, people being like, oh, will you do one of those for me? Because I didn't realize it at the time, but there really wasn't a mural artist in my area. And so it just kind of took off. But every once in a while, too, if I see a business that I want to work with, I just email them. I just say, hey, this is what I do. I think you guys need a mural. And sometimes you never hear back, but there's been other times where they've hired me, and it's been great.
That's so cool. And I like what you said there. Like, it's not that I don't believe you should never do work for free. I just feel like you should do it on your terms and your terms only. No one should ever tell you that, okay, do this for free for whatever and you'll get this in return. Like, you should only do that on your terms and your terms only.
Exactly. And even though it was a free project, even though it was totally free, I still had a contract with it.
Sweet.
So said,
I
this
love
is
it.
exactly what you're getting. This is exactly how this is going to work. Like, it was super clear, because that is probably one of the biggest things that I had to learn, that everyone has to learn very early on, is that you have to be clear about what you're doing. Because some people end up doing tons and tons of extra work and feeling really yucky about a project. It's always because they were not clear in the beginning.
Very true. Very true. Very true. All right. So 3 things clearly for sure: teaching at a university, freelance, and your workshops. Awesome. That's cool. I dig that. So what would you say was like the hardest thing you had to overcome through all of this?
Probably just back to what I said about being clear. There was a few times right at the beginning, where, like, one particular instance, I had this guy call me, and he was a dream client. He had this business. He had just got this new office space. He wanted like 5 new murals in his office, and he like a crap ton of money, right? Like, this guy had the budget. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And so I went to talk to him about his ideas, and he pulled up a Pinterest board, and he's like, hey, this is all stuff that I like. And it was a million different things. Like, there was no
direction at all.
Yeah, it was like this could be anything. And we sat in a meeting for, I kid you not, 6 hours, me and this guy. 6 hours, where he was like, ooh, we should do like, everything should be black and white and it should be of an animal. And then I'm like, but also we could do it really colorful and super minimalist and have it of mountains and like just nothing there. And I sat there forever, and I kept trying to get him in and trying to get him like set on something, and it just wasn't happening. And then I drew out all these options for him and said it to him, and still couldn't decide on anything. And finally, after about 25 hours worth of work, he was like, okay, I can't commit to anything. I'm going to need to wait. And I realized at that moment I had not made a contract charging him for the time. I had not been clear about what was expected and how this was going to work. And I felt so dumb that I had wasted all that time. And that had happened, not quite on that scale, but it had happened with other clients too, where I had wasted my time doing sketches or sitting in meetings. And that's when I realized, like, this is not going to work unless I am very clear. And people aren't going to take me seriously if I'm not taking my time seriously.
Facts.
So I think that was probably one of the biggest things I had to learn, is that it is okay to go into a meeting and to say, look, before I can draw any sketches for you, like, we need to be clear about what this is going to cost and the way that this is going to work, and just to be super not afraid to just level it out and be like, this is how it works, you know? It's not a scary thing. It's not like, you know, being mean or being aggressive. It's just the way it works, you know? And I've never had problems with it. When I just tell people, like, hey, this is how this is going to be, they're like, awesome. But I was really scared about that right at first, because I was afraid I'd be like, oh, but if I charge them for the time, then they won't hire me. It's like, well,
okay,
you shouldn't work with them.
Exactly. I love it. That is awesome. That is awesome. It's always, you know, you go through these situations and all you can do is learn from it. The problem is if you don't learn from it, then, you know, you just keep setting yourself up for failure. So, I mean, that's all you can do. So I love that. I loved that you're sharing these experiences, because, you know, people go through this, or someone who hasn't been through this should know that, like, you set terms always, every time from the beginning, no matter what.
Yeah, and it's always learning, and I'm still learning. You know, I've had my business, like my actual business, for 2 years, and every day, you know, now I know how to, like, realize the bad clients as soon as they email me. I'm like, that guy's trouble. Like, I can already tell. You know, you learn stuff every day the more you do it.
That's
and you
true.
don't even realize it until someone asks you a question, then you know the answer, and you're like, wow, I've actually figured some things out, I guess.
That's awesome. That is so cool. So, who would you say are the people that kind of pushed you, like, around, supported you, those people in your support circle?
So, I was pretty blessed, because when I was growing up, I had my grandpa on my mom's side and an uncle on my dad's side that were both full-time illustrators. And so I think from a really early age, I just saw them working. And it was never like they were telling me, hey, you need to be an artist or anything. But I saw them working, and I saw them making a career out of it. And so I think when a lot of people look at art, again, they picture these weird homeless guys that, like, sleep all day and kind of work whenever they want to. But I grew up seeing people actually in the industry making a career out of it, and I saw how much work went into it, but also how much you can express your creativity and really make wonderful things. So I think from a really early age, I always saw it as a real job. It was never like this thing of, oh, well, you can't make a living as an artist. I knew you could. And so from a really young age, I knew that's what I wanted to do. But I think the other person that has definitely made the biggest difference is my husband, Alan.
Sweet.
So when I first met him, I knew he was really special, because I remember showing him what I did. And I'm sure you've had this too, where you tell people, like, I'm a designer, and they kind of look at you like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, or like, do you ever eat real food? Like, I don't know. And so I remember when I met him, and I was like, oh, I have to tell him I want to be an artist. Like, how's that going to go? But I remember when I told him, he was so excited about it, and he loved my work and was, like, super supportive. And I think that is about the time when I stopped being afraid to approach clients. And I was like, hey, I can really do this. So he gave me a ton of confidence that, like, it was someone that really believed I could do it, who wasn't my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. That is awesome.
So that he's always been a big help for me. Whenever I have problems, I just go and talk to him, and he just sits there and listens, and and at the end goes, yeah, he'll figure it out, and I do. So he's wonderful.
That is so cool. It's cool to hear, you know, when, you know, people share how their spouses help them, because it's like one of those things that you can't explain, but it's like super empowering when you know that your spouse is on your side.
It really is, especially in an industry like this that has a lot of weird feelings about it to people. That
and it's kind of lonely too. Like, I don't think people understand how much being a designer, unless you're out and about intentionally, like, it's a lonely profession.
I always make the joke that I need to pay someone to sit in the room and listen to me talk while I work.
It's true. It is true. You get in your head a lot. You know, it's one of those professions, like, you're in your head mainly because of work, but then
Yeah.
you kind of just, you're always in your head, and I don't think people understand the head space that you go in with the designer. But it's cool to kind of hear that, you know, you have your spouse and he's someone that kind of propels you to even give you the confidence. That's just a great story to hear. So what's like, you're freelance, you're doing your own thing. What's like the first hour of your day like? Or, you know.
Yeah, so I'm a very I like to plan.
Sweet.
And so it's interesting because I actually am very structured in my like getting ready for the day and going to bed activities. And I think it's good to have a little bit of structure because I think that helps with being able to create, you know what I mean? Like if you have a lot of the really boring things of your life kind of figured out and just in a motion, then you're not thinking extra hard about those things.
Exactly.
It's easier to think about what's important. So yeah, I don't know. I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I put on some clothes, I read the scriptures, I take a shower, I eat breakfast, and then I start working.
Sweet.
So I wake up at 7:30, and by 8:30 I've started to work.
That's awesome. It's always good. Like when I have my structure down, when I stick to it, I feel like my day is most productive. When I don't stick to it, I feel like that I haven't really got nothing done. So it's very true. The more structure, and plus, as you said, you don't want it's non-productive to kind of waste time thinking about those stuff like what am I going to wear, and just the stuff that you really need your mind to, especially in the early morning. You know, that's when your mind is most at its peak.
And I guess I do the same thing too with about my first hour of work, because I don't, you know, when you're a freelancer, there's the fun parts and then there's the boring parts. And so I always do worst first. So, worst first. So very first thing at 8:30 when I start is emails, invoices, and contracts. That is the first thing I do. And I get all that stuff done because it's the stuff I like the least. And then I get into the other things that I need to do.
That's
and
cool.
I found that just doing it at the same time every day makes it so I don't slack off and just not do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what is that thing that you can't live without that's not your phone?
The thing I can't live without, you know, I have a little purse. If you see pictures of me, I'm almost always wearing it. It's a little tiny bag. It's super small. It was made out of a vintage U.S. mail carrier bag from like the early 1900s.
Okay.
But it's just a teeny tiny purse. It's just got a zipper on top. That is it. But I keep everything in there. So, like most girls, their purse has like their makeup and like I don't know what else. But mine, it's got like a bunch of different kind of pens and one pencil. And I kid you not, I keep an X-Acto knife, a box cutter, and my Leatherman in there. Because you never are gonna need all those different kinds of
You just never know.
stuff, you know. And I tell you what, that box cutter comes in handy all the time. Like. It's not until you start carrying around a box cutter that you realize
you need a box
cutter. And so I don't go anywhere without my bag, and it's awesome because people are like, oh, like I wish I had my drawing stuff. I'm like I've got it right here, or you know, everything.
That is cool. I like
so
that. That's
I don't
I
do
like
anything
that.
without my little purse.
I like that. That's cool. I like that. I'm always interested in just trying to find out what's that thing. You know, people just, you know, because outside of our phones, we all have that thing that, you know, just kind of our go-to whatever. And so far I've heard like some really weird things and some really cool things. So
What are some of the weird ones?
like a grown person needing a blanket.
Huh.
Yeah, like that was that. I've heard like like toilet paper. It's like.
Ew. Another one is my overalls. Ooh, or my hat.
Yeah.
I always wear my hat. The
Definitely.
hat makes me feel like super in charge.
Yeah, it's becoming your signature.
Yeah.
It's becoming your signature. That hat. Sweet. All right, so book recommendations.
Ooh. You know, I just bought this summer. I bought In Progress. It's that book that House Industries put out.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Sweet. I'm
They
definitely
usually
gonna
like-
check it out.
Lots of times I just like to look at pictures in books, but that was one where I actually sat down and like read every single page because everything in there was just so good. That was a really good one.
One of the great best books, like just in regards to just freelance and just studio design, is probably Identity Designed by David Airy. Like, he interviewed a bunch of like top agencies, and they just kind of broke down what they did in like the early stages and how they got the big clients. It was just like a gold mine. Like, literally, you're in the room. It was cool.
So cool. I have to look that one up.
Yeah, Identity Designed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's got like a big, it's all black, and it's just got ID on the cover. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's a cool book, man. I really dig it. All right, so what's next for Hayley?
Oh wow, what's next? Gosh, I don't know. I got a bunch of projects right now. Honestly, right now my life is just kind of like, take all the projects, do all the things. I love working on side projects. I think a lot of designers were like that. Like, when we're not working, we still want to be working. And so I've been working on
podcast.
Yeah, we podcast. I've been working on a project right now that I'm really excited about. It's called People of Provo. So I love Provo. I'm from Provo. I've grown up there. And it's always so weird to me because people that move to Provo are always telling me how awesome it is. The people that grew up in Provo, though, are always like, this place is lame, there's nothing to do. And I'm always like, you guys, you don't understand. Like, people are moving here on purpose because it's awesome, right? And so I wanted to do a series all about why Provo's cool, but the people specifically behind why it's been so cool.
Oh,
and
nice.
So, again, just with asking, there's a guy in Provo, his name is Justin Hackworth, incredible photographer. He's done work for, 40 years, amazing work, way better than me. But I just called him and was like, hey, Justin, do you want to do this project with me? Like, we've never met, but you're cool. And he goes, yeah. And so I reached out to 10 people in Provo that have just done incredible things. And this includes, like, Allison from The Allison Show, and one of our congressmen, and Corey Fox, who, does our downtown music venue. Like, a bunch of different people that have just done a lot. And Justin photographed all of them. And then I've been going in and doing a hand lettering thing on each person that tells about them and what they do. And we've been sharing this weekly. And it's something that I'm just so excited about because, again, it's just a cool way to share art, but also to share the community.
Right. It's definitely a community builder. Where are you sharing it?
So we've been sharing it online, and then too, I've built it up on my website as well. But we've created a page on Instagram. If you want to look it up, it's Provo People Project.
Okay. Definitely gonna put that in the show notes. That's awesome. Like, that's such a, like, anytime you can use your creativity to bring attention to your community, it's just like one of the coolest things.
And you understand this, but I think as a podcaster, you understand, like, if there is a need that you see in the world, you have to make it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
And the cool thing about all these people that we've been interviewing for this project is they're the people that have made our town what it is. And because I talk to people all the time that are like, oh, I wish we had this, and then they just sit around and do nothing. And these are the people behind why things are happening, right? And I want to be among those people. I want to be someone that sees something that they want to have happen and that will do it, right? Because I think that is, like, the best thing a person can amount to, is to be a doer.
I like that. Woo! You just dropping fire.
Yeah.
All right, so as we're getting ready to close, what advice would you have for someone out there?
I think my biggest piece of advice is just to ask for what you want. Kind of like we talked at the beginning. Like, if there's something you want to do or someone you want to work with, whether that's a collaboration or a client or a business, like, just ask, right? Because the worst that could happen is they can say no. And I know people say that all the time. People still sit at home and go, yeah, but it won't work for me. But it will work for you. I think that is just the best piece of advice I could ever offer anyone, is to just ask for the things you want. And, sometimes it won't work out, but sometimes it will. And when it does, it'll be awesome. And that is how you get the ball rolling on everything. Everything that you ever do, it has to start with you just asking for it and wanting it and being willing to, like, go out and get it,
Wow, this is awesome. Like you're really reminding me of my 22-year-old self. Like
Yes.
that is awesome, man. That is so awesome. Like I love your energy, and it's just refreshing to see someone driven. You know what I mean? It's always good to be around people that are driven. And like cuz we all have obstacles, we all have things that we have to get over. We all have with if it's internally or externally, things that are blockades, odds, you may say. And it's just cool to kind of see someone just being driven in spite of what that thing may be. That's awesome. So where can people go to find you, learn about all some stuff Hayley's doing?
So my business name is Type Affiliated. And so if you go to typeaffiliated.com, that's got everything on there. That's my website. That's where I put all the things. But also my Instagram is Type Affiliated, and I'm always on there sharing fun things and talking to the people about whatever it is I'm up to.
Awesome.
So Instagram and my website are the two best spots.
So cool. Hayley, I'm so glad to meet you. I'm so glad we got to finally do this. We've been trying to figure this out, but we've been the schedules. But this has been awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. You got to come to Utah sometime.
I'm literally have to.
Have to now.
Yes, I have to. I have to. Yes, we're gonna make it out there. I'm definitely gonna make it out there. I literally have so much friends on the west of this country, and I never got about going to New Mexico was my first time in the west. So, yeah. But I'm definitely gonna make it over there, and Utah is probably gonna be one of my first stops. Utah and Arizona for sure. So I will definitely reach out, and I'm gonna reach out to Kelly and let him know of a fellow creative that's in Utah, and somehow if you guys decide, you guys could get connected in some way, shape, or form. But it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I feel super blessed to be here.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I hope it's been super valuable to you, and you're now ready to take your audience building, your community growing to the next level, to help you and help me build our empire, for lack of a better word, or just to build our thing. Remember to stop by iTunes, Passion Behind the Art, and leave a review and subscribe. It's very important to me. It helps the podcast grow, and it makes me feel good to kind of hear from you guys, to know what you like about this podcast, what it's done for you. So jump on iTunes and subscribe and leave a review. Passion Behind the Art. Be blessed.